The billionaire lifted the spoon slowly, unaware that just a few steps away, a thin, dust-covered girl was staring at him with terrified eyes. The restaurant was quiet, elegant, and filled with polished marble that reflected soft golden lights. Everyone seated inside belonged to the richest class, people wrapped in luxury, people who believed the world revolved around them. So when the doors burst open and a beggar girl stumbled in, gasping for breath, every pair of eyes filled with disbelief. But she didn't care about their shock. Her gaze was fixed on the spoon in the billionaire's hand. "Don't eat that," she shouted, her trembling voice echoing through the silent room. Arman Siddiqui, one of the youngest billionaires in the country, froze. He looked at the spoon, then at her, annoyance rising in his chest. Who was this girl? Why had she barged into the most exclusive dining area of a luxury hotel? His security guards rushed forward instantly, ready to remove her. But she didn't run. Her bare feet stayed planted on the cold floor. Her breath shook, but her determination didn't. Those eyes, full of fear and truth, held him captive in a way nothing else had. Arman suddenly felt something he hadn't felt in years. Doubt, and beneath that, a spark of unease. The spoon in his hand felt heavier. The girl wasn't begging for money. She wasn't asking for food. She was pleading for him to stay alive. Her courage was strange, unexpected. But something deep inside Arman urged him to listen, just for a moment longer. Maybe it was the loneliness etched deep within him. Maybe it was instinct, or maybe her voice simply reminded him of a time long ago, before success, before wealth, before fake friendships, when he still believed in genuine human concern. He set the spoon down slowly. The room erupted with murmurs. The guards grabbed the girl by her arms, lifting her off the ground. But even then, she kicked desperately, shouting, "Don't eat it. Please, don't eat it." Arman stood up, his eyes softened as he approached her. "What are you talking about?" he asked, and everyone fell silent. The girl swallowed hard. "There's poison. The chef, he put something in it." The security guards burst into laughter. Guests shook their heads. Someone muttered, "She's crazy." Another whispered, "She's just trying to get attention." But Arman looked at her differently. Something about her fear didn't feel like acting. There was truth written in every trembling breath she took. "What's your name?" he asked. "Zara," she said, her voice breaking. He nodded and signaled the guards to release her. They hesitated, but obeyed. She collapsed to her knees, exhausted. "Tell me everything," Arman said gently. She explained how she had been searching the hotel's garbage for leftover food when she heard a man in a kitchen apron arguing on the phone. She didn't understand everything, but she understood enough. Someone wanted to harm the billionaire. She saw the chef pour something into a sauce bowl. She tried to warn the guards outside, but they pushed her away. She tried again and again until she saw the billionaire being served the same sauce. Arman listened without interrupting. The room remained painfully silent. Then he turned to his head of security and said, "Test the food." The staff hesitated, embarrassed, but they obeyed. A small chemical test was brought in. Within moments, the color on the testing strip changed. The room gasped. It was poisoned. The chef who prepared the meal had disappeared. The hotel manager panicked. The guards rushed out. But in the middle of all the chaos, Arman looked at the small girl who had saved his life. Zara lowered her head, not because she sought praise, but because she wasn't used to being looked at like. She mattered. For the first time in a very long time, Arman felt something shift inside him. She had nothing, yet she risked everything to save a man who had everything. He knelt beside her, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. "Thank you," he whispered, genuinely. She burst into tears. Zara didn't cry because she was afraid. She cried because, for once, someone didn't see her as trash, someone saw her as a human being. Arman picked her up carefully and guided her to a seat. He noticed her fragile arms, her bruised feet, and her thin frame that looked like she hadn't eaten properly for months. He asked the staff to bring her food, but the moment a plate arrived, she hesitated. "Is this for me?" she whispered, confused. "Yes," Arman replied softly. "All of it is for you." Her eyes widened. Slowly, she reached out and took a bite. Then another. And then she ate with the desperation of someone who had been starving for far too long. Guests watched silently, ashamed of how easily they had judged her moments before. Arman sat beside her without caring about the shocked expressions around them. "Where are your parents?" he asked. She lowered her gaze. I don't have anyone." Her voice cracked on the last word. Loneliness, raw and painful, filled her eyes. Armin's heart tightened, because in her eyes, he saw his younger self. The boy who lost his parents. The boy who had no one to guide him until he fought his way to success. They were different, yet the same. When Zara finished eating, he gave her water and asked, "Do you have a place to stay?" She shook her head. "Do you trust me?" he asked. She looked up. Slowly, she nodded. He took her with him. Not because she saved his life, but because he saw a child who had been abandoned by life itself. In the car, she kept glancing at him in disbelief. "Why are you helping me?" she asked quietly. Armin replied with a soft smile, "Because someone should have helped me when I was your age, but no one did." She didn't say anything, but her eyes softened, and a small spark of hope flickered inside her for the first time in years. When they reached his mansion, the staff stared in confusion, but Armin made everything clear. Zara would be given a room, clothes, food, education, everything she needed to rebuild her life. At first, Zara didn't believe any of it. She would wake up at night afraid it was a dream. She would hide food in drawers, scared she might starve again. She would stand near doors, unsure if she was allowed to enter. But Armin was patient. He spoke to her. He taught her. He reassured her, again and again, that she was safe now. Slowly, Zara began to trust the warmth she had been denied her whole life. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Zara transformed. She learned to read and write. She laughed for the first time. She went from a trembling child to a bright, confident girl. Armin saw her potential, and he supported every step she took. But life always tests those it blesses. One day, Zara overheard Armin talking to business partners. They wanted him to cut ties with her. They said the media would question why a billionaire was raising a street girl. They said it could ruin his reputation. Fear returned to Zara's heart. She thought she was becoming a burden. She quietly packed her few belongings and slipped out during the night. But she didn't get far. Armin found her sitting under a streetlight, crying silently. He walked toward her slowly. "Why did you leave?" She wiped her tears. "Because everyone says I'm nothing. And I don't want to ruin your name." Armin knelt in front of her, just as he did the day she saved him. "You saved my life," he said softly. "My reputation shouldn't matter more than yours. Your family now, and family, never leaves." She broke into sobs as he hugged her. From that night onward, Zara never doubted her place in his life again. Years passed. Zara grew into a strong, educated young woman. She became someone people admired, kind, intelligent, brave. She started a foundation to help homeless children, using Armin's support and her own story as inspiration. People asked her how she changed her life. She always answered with a smile, "Someone believed in me when the world didn't." And Armin, who once felt empty despite having everything, realized that Zara had filled the emptiness he carried for years. She gave him the one thing money could never buy, a reason to live with purpose. Their lives remained intertwined forever, not by blood, but by a bond stronger than any relationship, gratitude, sacrifice, and love that expected nothing in return. The story began with a beggar girl saving a billionaire's life. But in the end, they saved each other. And the world learned a simple, powerful lesson through them. Sometimes the person you least expect becomes the reason you start believing in humanity again. Sometimes the smallest voice carries the greatest truth. Sometimes a broken child carries enough courage to change another person's fate. And sometimes, listening for just one moment can save an entire lifetime.